How's it going, you guys? So in this video I want to be talking a little bit about why is it that you wake up to go pee at the nighttime. So the reason why I'm making this video is because number one, I've suffered from this issue before, and number two, there's really not much good information out there about it. Even people that I respect, like Chris Masterjohn, they make videos about the subject but don't really give any advice that will actually work for most people. Most of these people, including Chris Masterjohn, they make videos about the subject and it sounds like they don't actually know what's going on. It sounds like they don't really have any tangible advice that actually is going to work. They just don't sound like they know what's going on. So anyway, what are some of the main reasons why you might be waking up to go pee? So the first one is that you could have diabetes. And when I say diabetes, what I mean is, for whatever reason, your body is having a hard time absorbing all the sugar in your bloodstream. Now, on one side of things, obviously, if this is the case, you should be able to get diagnosed from a doctor. The problem is most doctors, they use fasting blood glucose tests, or they use hemoglobin A1C, which basically tests the average of blood glucose over a period of time. And so the problem with these tests is by the time these tests actually will diagnose diabetes using fasting blood glucose, etc., it's already 20 years too late. Now, of course, you can still reverse this condition, most preferably using a low-carb diet that's been outlined by Drs. Stephen Finney and Jeff Bullock from Virtua Health. But the thing is, if you really want to know if it's diabetes or if it's blood sugar that you're peeing out, obviously, if you test your urine, you'll find the sugar in the urine. But also, getting a fasting insulin test is the easiest way to predict diabetes, because if you have an abnormal fasting insulin test, that means you probably have hyperinsulinemia, and that can actually detect diabetes 10 or 20 years before it'll ever get detected in a fasting blood glucose test or hemoglobin A1C. Nonetheless, even if you're thin or athletic like me, even if you train 3 times a day, you could still possibly have diabetes. So it's extremely important. And if you're peeing out blood glucose, then it should show up in a blood glucose test, a fasting blood glucose test. But the other thing is, if you take in too many carbohydrates at once, it might not show in a fasting blood glucose test. Typically, a healthy individual who's insulin sensitive will be able to absorb all the blood sugar. But again, you could still have this issue. So trying a low-carb diet where you limit carbs below 50 grams per day for just 1 week, like, you're really not going to be missing anything other than the foods that you're craving. You're going to have food cravings. But as an experiment, just do a low-carb diet for 7 days and see if your urinating during the nighttime problem goes away. For me personally, that solved my issue, despite the fact that my doctor said I do not have diabetes. So there's that. Another thing is, you could just be drinking way too much water during the daytime. And here's the thing, it's a two-pronged issue. So if you're drinking too much water, and this is actually very true, and I feel like a lot of mainstream doctors and health advocates, they underplay how common this actually is. But it's very possible that you could actually have low sodium levels, or you're drinking so much water that it increases blood volume and dilutes the sodium in your blood, and then your body just happens to drain all that water out of your blood and out of your tissues when you go to bed at night. Now, on one side of things, that's not extremely scientific, but essentially that could be what's going on in a sense. And so the remedy to that would be consuming more sodium throughout the day, and especially if you're having cramps and things. especially if when you pee, your urine is clear, that means for whatever reason you have too much water in your system. But if you're anything like me, I used to be so thirsty and I drink water and I just keep peeing and drink water and keep peeing. So what I started doing was increasing my salt intake. And what I found is I was drinking too much water, which is diluting the salt, and it was creating a sodium deficiency, but it's subclinical. It won't show up on a blood sodium test for whatever reason, but it will hinder your sleep. It will cause these issues. And so getting at least, at minimum, 1 teaspoon of sodium overall per day is essential. And that means measuring out your salt. Take 1/4 of a teaspoon of sodium every 3 hours, let's put it that way. Especially because the government's recommending people to drink water. Some doctors say drink until you float. And that's horrible advice, because there is such thing as too much water, and you can reach that limit pretty fast. It's not, conversely to what people are told, your kidneys do not just, excrete a liter of water per 5 minutes. It's actually more like a liter of water per hour, depending on the person. So if you're athletic like I am, it's very easy to chug a whole gallon of water while you're sweating away and not actually needing the whole gallon of water. As crazy as that might sound, that is common for me. And so just try taking in a whole teaspoon of salt. And if you have some kind of psychotic paranoia that sodium is going to cause a heart attack, if you don't have kidney issues or heart failure, and you're not taking diuretics, because if you are taking diuretic medications from a doctor, that's probably the cause of your peeing during the night, because that's exactly what they're supposed to do. But if you don't have kidney issues, you don't have heart failure, you're not taking diuretic medications, which we're going to get into that here in a second, then increasing your salt intake is extremely unlikely to cause you any health problems. So there's that. And I'm confident that it's either the first one or the second one. Now this third reason is actually rather common as well. It's just that, so a lot of people, and I've had numerous clients myself, and I've had this issue myself as well personally, where you take an herb that you read was healthy for your liver or healthy for your immune system or something, and you don't know, but it actually has diuretic properties. This is very common with herbs that people claim can help cleanse the body. So, or even herbs like echinacea, I probably said that wrong, can actually have diuretic action. Ginger can actually cause diuresis. It can be a diuretic. And for those of you who really don't know, a diuretic is simply a substance that causes you to pee. It flushes out minerals and water from your blood and into the urine. So ginger, licorice root, dandelion, I don't think milk thistle, but it's been a while since I've studied milk thistle. Long time. Nettle leaf, I believe. Echinacea. What else is a diuretic? There's quite a lot of diuretics, actually. And of course, multivitamins, especially if they have over 100% of your daily value of vitamin B, of especially vitamin B2, and sometimes vitamin C, they can actually, not dilute, what's the opposite of dilute? Damn it. They could build up in the blood excessively to the point where you're going to need to pee over and over again, and through the flushing of those vitamins and minerals from your multivitamin, you might actually end up causing a mineral imbalance as well. So I'm going to rehash this real quick. The top 3 reasons why you're probably waking up to go pee at night. The first one is diabetes. The second one is too much water, not enough minerals. If you cut off your water intake 4 hours before you go to bed, you find yourself just dog-ass thirsty, then that's a sign that you need more the third one is diuretics. Okay, that could be diuretic herbs, as I've mentioned, a whole list of them, or diuretic medications, especially medications for kidney issues, heart issues, and even blood sugar issues, and blood pressure issues as well. These can all cause diuresis and typically will actually make the problem worse. If you have kidney issues and you're on diuretic medications, then that's pretty bad for your kidneys. If you have heart failure and you're on diuretic medications, that can put more stress on the kidneys, which can put more stress on the heart, and blood pressure issues too. If you have a blood pressure problem, that's actually a symptom of insulin resistance. And so if you just go on a low carb diet, you will reverse insulin resistance over time. There's studies that have directly compared Atkins and other low carb diets to plant-based diets, and they've shown that this is actually the case. One of them is the A to Z weight loss study. But anyway, I digress. Point here is those are the top 3 reasons. There's other reasons too, like if you're just overstressed throughout the day, if you take things like yohimbe, if you take excessive amounts of caffeine, just the fact that it's going to increase your heart rate could probably increase your urination over time. And also just all the adrenaline and stress hormones that are produced from the caffeine. For one, it's going to impede your sleep, even if you manage to fall asleep. And for 2, it'll probably, for every 100 milligrams of caffeine, you need something like 500 milligrams of sodium. So caffeine can increase your sodium needs. So a lot of people, they quote studies saying that coffee might cause a slight bit of diuresis, but the amount of water that you drink alongside the coffee makes up for it. The problem is they don't talk about sodium and salt. And so from what small bits of evidence we have on the subject, it's not the water that we're worried about, it's the mineral loss. So more coffee, more caffeine, that means you need more sodium, more magnesium, more potassium, and more, not necessarily more water. So leave your questions in the comments down below, and hopefully that's helped you. I'm pretty sure it's one of these for most of your problems, and if you just try the methods I mentioned in this video, then your problem will probably go away.